After his loss to Lewis, Schmeling became the GOAT of Germany. No Hindenburg was sent to pick him up this time. Instead, after being hospitalized for 2 weeks, he went home on a stretcher by boat.
Schmeling's reward from the fatherland was to be sent jumping out of airplanes over enemy-held islands. Jim Murray.
Schmeling's friend, Ludwig Maibaum.
In government circles, they talked about him as no longer being useful. It was very hurtful, and they took it personally. Max was a thing of the past, no longer worthy, and he could no longer be used as a role model since he lost against a black man. He had to overcome all this alone.
For Schmeling, this loss proved to be a blessing. Now he no longer had to play the role of the Aryan showpiece, while Lewis remained a symbol of hope around the world. Joe Louis Barrow, Jr.
Germans have told me, and Jews have told me, that without question, that fight made the difference in their lives. One time I was talking with someone and they said, I'll tell you what the 1938 fight meant to me. When I was in the concentration camps, I knew the Germans were not going to win because Joe Louis had already defeated Max Schmeling. And I just had chills when I learned that story, because all of a sudden, here my father, across the pond, 2,000 miles away, was inspiring a Jew in the concentration camp to survive the Holocaust because he had already defeated Max Schmeling. Max Schmeling was important to Joe Louis, and Joe Louis was important to Max Schmeling. I think they both had to endure the political environment in which they fought, but yet they didn't allow the racism of their countries to separate them as individuals. And I think that's probably one of the most important legacies of Joe Louis and the Max Schmeling fight, is that those two people emerged as human beings and as friends.
Joe Louis would live out his life as an all-American legend. As sports writer Jimmy Cannon put it, he's a credit to his race, the human race. Along with Jesse Owens and Jackie Robinson, Joe Louis helped create the groundswell for the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s, which in turn, ironically, paved the way for a throwback to Jack Johnson, the outrageous Muhammad Ali. Ali's first major outrage after taking the title from Sonny Liston was to loudly, publicly change his religion, becoming a member of the feared black Muslim sect. That conversion would have repercussions at Ali's rematch with Liston in the obscure town of Lewiston, Maine.
In this corner, Muhammad Ali versus Sonny Liston.
After 15 months of Senate investigation, hernial surgery to the champion, an 11th hour switch to a new site, and threats to the champion's life, suddenly, it's heavyweight title fight time again.
I'm the king of the world! Hold it. Hold it, you're not that pretty. I'm a bad man! Wait. I shook up the world!
Nobody realized at first what a special fighter or what a special person Ali was going to be.
Author, historian, Nigel Collins.
Yes, he won a gold medal at the Olympics. Yes, he was brash, great for publicity. He spouted poetry. He picked around. But people had a tendency, and especially people within the boxing business, to sort of laugh him off.
Don't you have any respect for him at all, as a fighter?
As a fighter, I think he should be locked up impersonating a fighter.
On February 25th, 1964, fast-talking, light-footed heavyweight Cassius Marcellus Clay went in the ring with fearsome powerhouse Charles Sonny Liston. Unbelievably, Liston, tired and frustrated, quit after the 6th round, claiming an injured shoulder. The new heavyweight champion was like no other before him or since, in style and substance. Football great Jim Brown.
After the fight, everyone thought we were going to go over to the Fountain Blue at one of the major hotels on the beach and talk to the girls, and Ali said, nope. We're going to go back to this little black motel, and I'm going to talk to you about the nation of Islam.
Cassius is not my name no more. Officially Muhammad Ali now.
Muhammad Ali, right. Muhammad Ali. That's my name.
Cassius?
You know my new name. Why do you keep calling me that?
Will your next fight be billed as Cassius Clay or as Muhammad Ali?
Muhammad Ali.
On all the fights?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Muhammad Ali would use this victory as a platform to publicly unveil his membership in the Nation of Islam. Civil rights activist Julian Bond.
The Nation of Islam were incredibly controversial. They were the boogeymen of American racial politics. Their most prominent spokesman, Malcolm X, was viewed by many as a fierce and frightening figure. And for this man, Cassius Clay, to become Muhammad Ali and to identify himself with the religion, with the theology, with the philosophy, was just a thunderbolt to many people.
When Malcolm X started his own confrontational faction of the Nation of Islam, Ali remained loyal to its originator, Elijah Muhammad. But his association with the Muslims placed him in a bleak category, similar to that of Sonny Liston. Liston, the ex-convict, the labor goon, the unpopular villain. Writer, Mort Sharnick.
He had a reputation as being a bad guy. He had been a leg breaker for the unions in St. Louis and Chicago. He really was a mob minion.
Leading up to their rematch, November 16th, that same year at the Boston Garden, Liston was constantly harassed by Ali. But the ex-champion seemed determined to win back his title. Nigel Collins.
Liston was deeply ashamed of quitting on his stool in the first fight with Clay, and threw himself into training like he hadn't done in years.
But leading up to that bout, things began to go awry.
On Friday the 13th, the heavyweight champion of the world, Cassius Clay, was carted off to a Boston hospital suffering from a hernia.
Columnist Jerry Eisenberg.
Typical Ali. He never did anything halfway. Well, now there was no fight.
Liston camp member Milt Bailey.
That's the fight that I hope had a game off. Sonny would have won his title back. Disappointed, he went back to St. Louis. He never could get back in shape.
The fight was rescheduled for May 25th, 1965, but in April, Boston bailed out. Ali's connection with the Muslims, Liston's reputed ties with the mob, and Senate investigations surrounding the first fight all played a part. It became a fight with no home, until the city of Lewiston, Maine agreed to host the rematch. Nigel Collins.
They set it on Lewiston, Maine because they'd take them. You know, that's not where they wanted to go. It was like, you know, a small industrial town that happened to have a minor league ice hockey rink where they could have the fight.
After the assassination of Malcolm X earlier in the year, the fear spread that the warring factions of the Nation of Islam would disrupt the fight.
Several gentlemen visited Sonny Liston in training camp. They claimed to be members of the Black Muslims. And they told him that if he won the fight, there'd be a bullet waiting for him.
Ali's physician, Bertie Pacheco.
They had state troopers stopping cars before the day of the fight, thinking that loads of mafia gunmen were going to come in there. Ali didn't give any substance to all that. All the people around him did, and everybody was worried sick about it. But he didn't. He didn't think anything of it.
This will be the thrilling and the most dramatic fight in the history of all fights. Get you in seat and relax. Fight is scheduled for 15 rounds if there's no machine guns or bombs fired. So enjoy yourself and be among those who dare to dare.